those the CEO's messages?
I can't believe this is happening right now.
The thing about hosting game nights is that you never know what game people are really playing until it's too late. I'm Owen Dorsey, 39 years old, and I manage IT projects for a living. That means I solve problems for a living, which makes what happened next particularly ironic. My wife Rachel always said I was too analytical, too suspicious. You see patterns where there aren't any, she'd tell me with that laugh that used to make my chest tight in all the right ways. Tonight, as I watched her lean against Alex Grant's shoulder during charades, that chest tightness felt different. Wrong. "Owen, you're up," Monica called from the couch, wine glass in hand. She worked with Rachel at the marketing firm, all sharp edges and gossip. "Your turn to guess." I looked at Rachel, who was supposed to be my partner for this round. Instead, she was whispering something in Alex's ear that made him grin like he'd won the lottery. Alex was her boss, recently divorced, the kind of guy who wore expensive watches and talked about his weekend in the Hamptons. "Actually," Rachel said, not looking at me, "I think Alex and I have better chemistry for this one. You don't mind, do you, honey?" The room went quiet for exactly 3 seconds, long enough for everyone to feel the awkwardness, short enough that they could pretend it didn't happen. "Sure," I said, settling back into my chair. "I'll just watch." That's when I really started watching. Tara, my best friend since college, shot me a look from across the room. She knew. I could see it in the way her mouth pressed into a thin line, the way she kept glancing between Rachel and Alex like she was watching a car accident in slow motion. The game continued, but I wasn't playing anymore. I was observing. Rachel's hand on Alex's arm when she laughed. The way she kept checking her phone, typing quick messages with a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. The way Alex's eyes followed her when she got up to refill the wine glasses. "So," Monica said during a break between rounds, "there's been some interesting office gossip lately." She had that tone women get when they're about to drop a bomb disguised as casual conversation. "Before we deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories." "Oh?" Priya, Rachel's other friend, looked up from her phone. "Do tell." "Well, let's just say some people have been working very late together. Very late." Rachel's laugh sounded forced. "Monica, you're terrible. People work late sometimes. It's called dedication." "Is that what they're calling it now?" Tara muttered, just loud enough for me to hear. Alex cleared his throat. "Speaking of work, Rachel's been invaluable on the Henderson campaign, really going above and beyond." The way he said above and beyond made my stomach turn. I excused myself to get another drink, taking the long way through the kitchen. That's when I saw Rachel's phone on the counter, screen lit up with a new message. From Alex. "Can't wait for tomorrow night. Hotel rooms booked." Below that, Rachel's response. "Next round's on you." I stood there staring at the screen until it went dark, my reflection staring back at me from the black glass. 39 years old, and I was just now learning that my wife was playing a completely different game. When I returned to the living room, the evening was winding down. Goodbyes were exchanged, coats gathered. Rachel kissed my cheek like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just confirmed what I'd been suspecting for weeks. "Great party, honey," she said. "I'm exhausted, going to bed." I watched her walk upstairs, then started cleaning up the wine glasses and snack plates. Tara lingered, helping me stack dishes. "Owen," she said quietly, "we need to talk." "I know." "Do you? Because what I saw tonight—" "I said I know." I set down a glass harder than necessary. "The question is, what am I going to do about it?" Tara studied my face. "That's what worries me. You've got that look." "What look?" "The same one you had in college when Tommy Henderson cheated off your computer science final, right before you made sure he got caught." I smiled for the first time all evening. Tommy deserved what he got. "And Rachel?" I looked up at the ceiling, where I could hear Rachel moving around our bedroom. Our bedroom, where she was probably texting Alex right now, planning their next meeting. "Rachel's about to learn something about games," I said. "I don't just solve problems, Tara. I solve them permanently." After Tara left, I sat in my living room, surrounded by the debris of our fake perfect evening. Wine stains on the coffee table, lipstick marks on glasses, the lingering smell of Rachel's perfume mixed with Alex's cologne. I pulled out my laptop and opened a new document. At the top, I typed, "Project Checkmate." Then I started planning. The beautiful thing about being married to someone for 8 years is that you know all their passwords. Rachel used the same pattern for everything, the name of her childhood pet plus her birth year. Whiskers, 1988. She thought she was being clever by changing it to Whiskers 88 for some accounts, but patterns are patterns. I waited until she left for her business trip on Thursday morning. She kissed me goodbye at the door, suitcase in hand, talking about client meetings and late dinners. The hotel reservation confirmation was still in her email. 2 nights, king bed, downtown Marriott, the same hotel where Alex had booked his room. "See you Sunday night," she said, and I almost laughed at the performance of it all. "Have fun," I replied. "Don't work too hard." The moment her car disappeared around the corner, I got to work. First stop, her laptop. Rachel was meticulous about her professional life, but careless about her personal digital footprint. Her browser history told a story that would make a romance novelist blush. Restaurant reservations for 2, lingerie purchases from boutiques I'd never heard of, a Google search for how to tell your husband you want a divorce from 3 weeks ago. That last one stung more than I expected, but the real treasure was in her cloud backup. Months of text messages she thought were safely deleted, photos that were definitely not meant for her husband's eyes, a whole secret relationship documented in digital breadcrumbs. My phone buzzed. Pete from work. "Hey, you coming in today? The Morrison project needs—" "Pete, I need a favor," I interrupted. "Remember that data recovery software you were working on?" "Yeah, why?" "Can you meet me for lunch? I've got a situation." Pete Martinez was 29, brilliant with computers, and the kind of guy who asked no questions when you needed help with hypothetical technical problems. We met at a diner downtown, away from the office. "So," he said, sliding into the booth across from me, "what kind of situation are we talking about?" I showed him printouts of some of the tamer messages. His eyebrows went up. "Your wife?" "My wife." "And you want to—" "I want to make sure I have everything, every message, every photo, every piece of evidence that she thought was gone forever." Pete stirred his coffee thoughtfully. "You know, there are legal ways to handle this stuff. Divorce lawyers, mediators. I'm not interested in legal ways. I'm interested in thorough ways," he grinned. "Now you're talking my language. Give me her phone model and carrier info. I can walk you through pulling data from backups she doesn't even know exist." 2 hours later, I had more information about my wife's affair than I knew what to do with. Text messages going back 4 months. Photos that made it clear this wasn't just an emotional connection. Location data that showed exactly when and where they'd been meeting. The most damaging stuff wasn't even the romantic messages. It was the cruel ones. Rachel and Alex making jokes about my cluelessness, planning elaborate lies to cover their tracks. Rachel calling me boring and predictable in ways that made my chest burn with something that wasn't quite anger yet. But the real kicker was buried in an email thread from 2 months ago. Rachel and Alex weren't just having an affair. They were planning to push me out of my own company shares through a harassment claim, using Rachel's connections and Alex's influence to manufacture a case that would force me to sell my stake in the tech startup I'd helped build. I'd been worried about my wife cheating on me. Turns out she was planning to destroy my entire life. That evening, I called a number Tara had given me months ago during her own messy divorce. "Lynn Investigations," a crisp voice answered. "Ms. Lynn, my name is Owen Dorsey. I need to hire a private investigator." "What kind of case?" "The kind where I need photographs, documentation, and enough evidence to bury 2 people so deep they'll never see sunlight again." There was a pause. "I like a client who knows what he wants. Can you come in tomorrow?" Ms. Lynn's office was exactly what you'd expect from an ex-cop turned private investigator. Functional furniture, filing cabinets that had seen better days, and a woman in her 40s who looked like she could handle herself in any situation. "Your wife and her boss," she said, reviewing the information I'd provided. "How long has this been going on?" 4 months that I can prove, maybe longer. "And you want comprehensive documentation?" "I want enough evidence to end both their careers and make sure everyone in their professional and personal circles knows exactly what kind of people they are." Ms. Lynn leaned back in her chair. "That's not just investigation work. That's warfare." "Good," I said, "because I'm done playing defense." She quoted me a price that would have made me wince 6 months ago. Now it seemed like the bargain of the century. "I'll need a week to get you what you need," she said. "Photos, timeline, documentation of their activities. But Mr. Dorsey, once you go down this road, there's no coming back. You sure you want to destroy your marriage this completely?" I thought about Rachel's text messages, her cruel jokes, her plan to frame me and steal my life's work. "Ms. Lynn," I said, "my marriage was destroyed the moment my wife decided to betray me. I'm just making sure everyone else knows it too." That night, I sat in my home office, surrounded by printouts and files, planning my next moves. Rachel thought she was playing chess while I played checkers. She had no idea that I'd been studying the board this whole time, waiting for her to make enough moves to trap herself. My phone buzzed with a text from her. Missing you. Can't wait to come home Sunday. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back, Take your time. I'm keeping busy. If she'd been paying attention, she might have wondered what I meant by that. But Rachel had never been good at paying attention to the details that mattered. That was going to be her first mistake. But it wouldn't be her last. Ms. Lynn delivered exactly what she promised. A manila envelope full of photographs that told the story better than any novel. Rachel and Alex entering hotels together, sharing intimate dinners, walking hand in hand through parks like they were the happy couple instead of two people destroying multiple lives for their own pleasure. The photos were time-stamped, location-tagged, and absolutely devastating. Your wife's not as careful as she thinks, Ms. Lynn said when I picked up the package. Neither is her boyfriend. They have a routine, same restaurant every Tuesday, same hotel every other weekend when you're supposedly working late or she's supposedly traveling. Supposedly. She's been telling him you work late constantly. He thinks you're a workaholic who ignores his wife. She's painted you as the neglectful husband to justify their affair. That stung, but it also gave me an idea. There's something else, Ms. Lynn continued. They're planning something for next month. I couldn't get close enough to hear details, but they've been having a lot of serious conversations. Lawyer meetings, financial discussions. The harassment claim. They were moving forward with their plan to frame me. Ms. Lynn, I need one more favor. Rachel's company is having their annual gala next Friday. I need you there with a camera. Planning something public? Planning something permanent. The gala was Rachel's favorite event of the year. Black tie, open bar, all the major clients and company executives in one room. She'd been talking about her dress for weeks, how important this night was for her career, how Alex was going to announce some major promotions. I'd been planning to skip it, claim I was sick or had work conflicts. Instead, I RSVP'd for 2 and bought a new suit. You're coming? Rachel seemed surprised when I told her. We were having breakfast, playing the part of the normal married couple. I thought you hated these things. I do, I said, but this one sounds important. Besides, I want to meet more of your colleagues, especially Alex. You talk about him so much. Something flickered across her face. Guilt, maybe, or fear. But she recovered quickly. That's wonderful, honey. It'll be nice to have you there. The week leading up to the gala, I made my preparations. Pete helped me with the technical aspects. Tara helped me with the timing. Ms. Lynn positioned herself as a freelance photographer for the event, hired by the company to document the evening. Everything had to be perfect. One shot, one moment, and it would all be over. Friday evening, Rachel looked stunning in her black dress. For a moment, watching her put on her earrings in our bedroom mirror, I almost remembered why I'd fallen in love with her. Then I thought about the photos in my briefcase and the feeling passed. Ready? She asked, taking my arm. More than you know. The gala was exactly what I expected. Overpriced drinks, boring speeches, and a room full of people pretending to enjoy themselves for professional reasons. Rachel immediately gravitated toward Alex, who was holding court near the bar with several clients. Owen! Alex extended his hand like we were old friends. Finally get to meet the famous husband. Rachel talks about you all the time. All good things, I hope. Of course. She says you're always working, very dedicated. I am dedicated, I agreed, especially to the things that matter most to me. Rachel's grip on my arm tightened slightly. The evening progressed exactly as I'd anticipated. Rachel and Alex thought they were being discreet, but their body language told the real story. The way they leaned toward each other during conversations, the lingering touches, the private jokes that excluded everyone else. At 9:30, during the company president's speech about quarterly earnings, I excused myself to use the restroom. Instead, I found Pete in the hotel's AV room. You ready? He asked. Do it. What happened next was beautiful in its simplicity. The president's PowerPoint presentation suddenly switched to a different slideshow. Photos of Rachel and Alex, carefully selected and edited, to tell their story without crossing into inappropriate territory, the restaurant dinners, the hotel entrances, the hand-holding in the park. But the real masterpiece was the final slide, screenshots of their text messages, with names redacted but context crystal clear, messages about their boring spouses, their elaborate lies, their plans for the future that involved destroying other people's lives. The room went completely silent, 200 people staring at the screen, then turning to look at Rachel and Alex, who were standing frozen near the bar like deer in headlights. Technical difficulties, the president said weakly, but the damage was done. I walked back to Rachel, who was staring at me with a mixture of shock and terror. Honey, I said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, I think we should go. You look like you've seen a ghost. Alex tried to approach us, his face red with anger and embarrassment. "Owen, we need to talk." "I don't think we do," I replied calmly. "I think everything that needed to be said was said pretty clearly just now." Security was already moving toward us, directed by company executives who were doing damage control. Rachel grabbed my arm. "Owen, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been planning to destroy my life while pretending to love me? How you've been lying to everyone in this room for months? Or how you thought I was too stupid to figure it out?" Her face crumpled, but I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just a cold sense of completion. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced to the room, "my wife Rachel and her boss Alex have been having an affair for 4 months. They've also been planning to frame me for harassment to steal my business assets. I thought you should know what kind of people you're working with." The silence that followed was deafening. Then the whispers started. The phones came out. Social media posts began spreading the story before we even made it to the parking lot. In the hotel parking garage, Alex finally caught up with us. "You son of a—" He shoved me against a concrete pillar. "Careful," I said, not fighting back. "Ms. Lynn is still taking photos. You really want assault charges on top of everything else?" He looked around wildly and spotted the private investigator with her camera. His shoulders sagged. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," I replied. "It is." I walked away, leaving Rachel and Alex standing in the parking garage with the ruins of their careers and reputations scattered around them like broken glass. By the time I got home, the story was already trending on social media. Rachel's friends were distancing themselves with public posts about being shocked and disappointed. Alex's professional contacts were making statements about not condoning this behavior. I poured myself a drink and sat in my living room, waiting for Rachel to come home. She'd have to face me eventually. When she finally walked through the door at midnight, her makeup was ruined and her dress was wrinkled. "Owen," she started, but I held up my hand. "Save it. I know about everything. The affair, the plan to frame me, all of it. The only question now is whether you want to make this easy or hard." She sank into the chair across from me, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "How long have you known?" "Long enough to make sure everyone else knows, too." "What happens now?" I smiled for the first time in weeks. "Now? Now you get to live with the consequences of your choices, just like I've been doing." By Monday morning, Rachel's professional destruction was complete, but the personal fallout was just getting started. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The story had spread beyond the company gala to the wider professional community. Rachel's friends, colleagues, and social circle were all weighing in with their opinions, and most of them weren't kind. Monica, who'd been gossiping about office affairs just a week earlier, posted a long Facebook rant about being deceived by someone I trusted. Priya shared screenshots of Rachel's old messages about being happily married with crying, laughing emojis. The pile-on was swift and merciless. Rachel had left the house sometime before dawn. Her car was gone, along with 2 suitcases and her laptop. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter. "Staying at my sister's. We need space to figure this out." Space. After 4 months of lying, cheating, and planning to destroy my life, she wanted space. I called Ms. Lynn. "How's the aftermath?" she asked. "Better than expected. I need you to do one more thing for me." "What's that?" "Alex's ex-wife. She deserves to know what kind of man she was married to." "You want to involve her in this?" "I want to give her the tools she needs to protect herself and her kids. Alex was paying alimony and child support while spending money on hotel rooms and expensive dinners. She should know." Ms. Lynn was quiet for a moment. "That's not revenge, Mr. Dorsey. That's justice." "Sometimes they're the same thing." I spent Monday morning at work pretending to focus on project timelines while fielding calls from friends and acquaintances who'd heard about the gala incident. Everyone wanted details. Everyone had opinions. Everyone suddenly had stories about suspecting something was wrong with Rachel. Pete stopped by my office around lunch. "How are you holding up?" "Better than I expected," I said honestly. "It's like finally setting down something heavy that you didn't realize you were carrying." "Any word from Rachel?" "She's at her sister's, probably planning her next move." "What do you think that'll be?" I leaned back in my chair. "She's going to try to control the narrative, paint herself as the victim, me as the vindictive husband who destroyed her life over a mistake. She'll probably claim the harassment plan was Alex's idea, that she was manipulated." "Will people believe that?" "Some will, but I've got documentation of everything. Her own words, her own plans. Truth has a way of cutting through lies." That afternoon, Rachel's sister Jennifer called me. "Owen, what the hell did you do?" I exposed the truth about your sister's affair and her plan to frame me for harassment. She says you humiliated her publicly, destroyed her career over a personal matter. Jennifer, I have screenshots of Rachel calling me boring and predictable while she planned to steal my business assets. This wasn't a personal matter. This was calculated betrayal. There was silence on the other end. She's my sister, Owen. I have to support her. I understand, but you should ask her to show you the messages, all of them. Then decide if you're supporting your sister or enabling someone who destroyed multiple lives for her own pleasure. Jennifer hung up without another word. Tuesday brought news that Alex had been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. His ex-wife had apparently received an anonymous package of information that prompted her to file for emergency modification of their custody agreement. Alex was now fighting to maintain even supervised visitation with his children. I felt no satisfaction in that. The kids were innocent victims of their father's choices. But Alex himself? He'd made his bed. Wednesday, Rachel finally called me. We need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Can you meet me for coffee? Why? Because despite everything, we were married for 8 years. Don't I deserve a chance to explain? I almost laughed. Rachel, you had 8 years to be honest with me. You chose to lie instead. What makes you think you deserve anything from me now? Please, Owen. One conversation, then I'll sign whatever papers you want. Agree to whatever terms, just give me a chance to tell my side. Her side. Like there was some version of this story where betraying your husband and planning to frame him for harassment was understandable. But I was curious. After everything that had happened, what could she possibly have to say? Fine. One conversation. The coffee shop on 5th Street tomorrow at noon. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thursday at noon, I walked into the coffee shop to find Rachel already there, sitting in a corner booth with dark sunglasses and a baseball cap like she was trying to avoid recognition. It might have worked if half the city hadn't already seen her photo online. She looked terrible, exhausted, stressed, like she hadn't slept in days. Part of me felt sorry for her. A very small part. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. Talk. She took a shaky breath. I know you hate me right now. I don't hate you, Rachel. I nothing you. You're a stranger who used to live in my house. That seemed to hurt more than anger would have. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she continued. The thing with Alex, it just evolved. We were working late, spending time together, and there was this connection. Skip the romance novel version. Tell me about the harassment plan. Her face went pale. How did you? I know everything, Rachel. Every message, every plan, every cruel joke you made about your boring, predictable husband. So don't sit here and lie to me anymore. She was quiet for a long time, staring at her untouched coffee. Alex said you'd never find out. That you were too trusting, too focused on work to notice what was happening right in front of you. He was wrong. The harassment thing, that was mostly his idea. He said we could be together openly if we could just get you out of the picture financially. Make it so you had to sell your shares, start over somewhere else. And you went along with it. I thought maybe it would be easier than divorce, less messy. I stared at her across the table. You thought framing me for harassment would be less messy than divorce. When you say it like that, that's the only way to say it, Rachel. You planned to destroy my reputation, my career, and my financial future so you could be with your boyfriend without the inconvenience of an honest conversation. She started crying then, quiet tears that she probably thought would make me feel guilty. They didn't. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am truly sorry. Sorry you got caught, or sorry you did it. She didn't answer, which was an answer in itself. I stood up. The divorce papers will be filed next week. Don't contest them, don't drag this out, and don't try to claim any of my business assets. You've taken enough. Owen, wait. We're done, Rachel. We've been done since the moment you decided to betray me. I just made sure everyone else knew it, too. I walked out of the coffee shop and didn't look back. Behind me, I could hear her crying harder, but that wasn't my problem anymore. Rachel had wanted to control the narrative, but the truth had already spread too far. Her career was over, her reputation was destroyed, and her relationship with Alex was crumbling under the weight of public scrutiny and legal consequences. She'd gambled everything on a plan that required me to remain oblivious and passive. Instead, she'd learned that the boring, predictable husband she'd underestimated was capable of playing a much longer, more strategic game than she'd ever imagined. The marriage was over. But the game? The game was just reaching its final moves. I thought it was over after the coffee shop meeting. Rachel would file for divorce, we'd split our assets fairly, and we'd both move on with our lives. She'd learned her lesson about underestimating people, and I'd learned mine about trusting too easily. I was wrong. Friday evening, I came home to find my front door standing open and my living room torn apart. Couch cushions thrown around, drawers pulled out, papers scattered everywhere. My laptop was missing, along with my backup drives and the file folder where I'd kept copies of all the evidence against Rachel and Alex. I called the police, but I already knew who was responsible. Looks like someone was searching for something specific, Officer Martinez said, surveying the damage. Any idea what they might have been after? Documents related to my divorce, I said. Evidence of my wife's affair. You think your wife did this? I think my wife and her boyfriend are desperate enough to try anything at this point. The officer took notes, dusted for fingerprints, and promised to follow up. But we both knew the chances of proving anything were slim. After he left, I sat in my destroyed living room and laughed. Rachel and Alex thought they were being clever, stealing my evidence to prevent me from using it against them. What they didn't understand was that I'd been planning for this possibility since the beginning, I called Pete. They took the bait, I said. The decoy files? Every single one. They probably think they've destroyed all my evidence against them. But the real files are safe in 3 different locations, plus cloud storage they don't know about. Let them think they've won. Pete chuckled. You're scarier than I thought, Owen. I'm just thorough. Saturday morning, I got a call from Ms. Lynn. Your wife and her boyfriend were seen leaving your neighborhood around midnight last night. My contact at the police department says they found fingerprints matching both of them in your house. Perfect. There's something else. Alex has been making threats, telling people you're unstable, that you've been harassing him and Rachel. He's trying to flip the script, make you look like the bad guy. Let him try. I've got insurance against that, too. What kind of insurance? The kind that involves recorded phone calls and documented threats. Alex has been sloppy with his communications. That afternoon, Rachel called me from a number I didn't recognize. Owen, we need to end this. I thought we did end it. You know what I mean. The public humiliation, the social media campaign, turning everyone against us. It's gone too far. Has it? Because breaking into my house and stealing my property seems like an escalation on your part. Silence. I don't know what you're talking about. Rachel, there were fingerprints, security cameras, evidence, just like there's evidence of everything else you and Alex have done. This is harassment, Owen. We could press charges. Go ahead. I'd love to see you try to explain to a judge why you broke into your husband's house to steal evidence of your own crimes. Another long silence. What do you want? I want you and Alex to disappear from my life completely. No more games, no more schemes, no more attempts to destroy my reputation or steal my assets. And if we do that, then maybe I won't release the recordings I have of Alex threatening me, or the evidence that you two have been planning this harassment claim for months. You're bluffing. Try me. She hung up. Sunday evening, Alex called me directly. Dorsey, this ends now. I agree. When are you leaving town? I'm not going anywhere. You've destroyed my career, my relationship with my kids, my entire life. You did that, Alex. I just made sure people knew about it. You think you're so smart, don't you? Well, I've got news for you. Rachel and I have been documenting your harassment for weeks. Phone calls, emails, following us around. You mean the private investigator I hired? The one who photographed you committing adultery and planning to frame me? We have evidence that you've been stalking us, threatening us. No, Alex, you have fantasies. What I have is documentation of everything you've actually done, including this phone call, which I'm recording. The line went quiet. That's right, I continued. Every threat, every lie, every desperate attempt to turn this around on me. All recorded, all documented, all ready to be shared with anyone who needs to see them. You can't. I can, and I will, unless you and Rachel disappear from my life permanently. Find new jobs in another city, start over somewhere else, leave me alone. And if we don't, then I release everything. The harassment plan, the threats, the break-in, all of it, plus some additional evidence that I've been saving for a special occasion. What additional evidence? I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. Ask Rachel about the photos on her old phone, the ones she thought she deleted, the ones that are much more explicit than anything I've shared so far. Another long silence. You're a monster, he said finally. No, Alex. I'm just someone who's very good at solving problems. And you two have been my biggest problem for months. He hung up without another word. Monday morning, I heard through Pete that Alex had submitted his resignation, effective immediately. Tuesday, Rachel's sister called to tell me that Rachel was moving to Portland to stay with their cousin indefinitely. By Wednesday, both of them were gone. I spent the following weekend cleaning up my house, replacing what had been broken and filing the divorce papers. Rachel didn't contest anything. She signed every document her lawyer put in front of her and agreed to all my terms. The marriage was over. The betrayal was exposed. The people who had tried to destroy my life had destroyed their own instead. Sitting in my restored living room the following Sunday, I raised a glass of wine to the empty house. "Checkmate," I said to no one in particular. Then I deleted all the files, closed the folders, and started planning the rest of my life. A life where I would never again underestimate the people around me and where no one would ever again mistake my trust for weakness. The game was over. I had won.